Ken Levine, the creator of BioShock and that franchise, guys, is obviously working on a new game. His very own new company, Ghost Story Games, is a company that he created, and they've been working on an upcoming title for quite some time. And guys, full disclosure, when it comes to Ken Levine, I think that he is really a genius when it comes to the art form of creating video games. Now, obviously, there's a sample size there. I've really only played the BioShock titles, but I love BioShock. I've created a lot of BioShock, video content here on the YouTube channel. You guys can check out all that content here. So I love Ken Levine, and I'm very excited about the future of BioShock, but I kind of take that with a pinch of salt and, kind of with somewhat of an asterisk because Ken Levine is not attached to the new BioShock title. That being said, though, Ken Levine also it's been really reported widely that he's been tough to work with in a number of different capacities with crunch and things of that nature. Well, guys, there's been a lot of talk about his new game, his up and coming title that's supposedly coming out, and it's been, in development for quite some time. Well, we're getting new information about this game and what's going on behind the scenes. So let's get into it. Guys, coming to us from Addie Robertson of The Verge, Ghost Story Games is full of contradictions. BioShock creative lead Ken Levine is reportedly facing trouble. According to Bloomberg's Jason Schreier, Levine's studio Ghost Story Games and its long-awaited debut project have been plagued by shifting design goals and an overambitious vision. It's not a new criticism of Levine, but it suggests that the game's nearly 8-year waiting period might not end any time soon and hints at some details about what Ghost Story is actually doing. So, according to Bloomberg, part of the delay stems from Levine's mercurial management style and perfectionism. Like previous reports from his time at Irrational, it describes a place where projects would get suddenly overhauled or scrapped after months of work. One anecdote describes studio members joking about convincing Levine to adopt their ideas via conception, reference to the artificially planted thoughts in Christopher Nolan's Inception. An open-ended release timeline has apparently been a double-edged sword, with Levine reportedly saying that the studio's ongoing budget is a rounding error in Take-Two's operation, which could give its game an indefinitely long development process. So, before we go any farther, to a degree, I really respect just how, from the perspective of, Ken Levine and how his process is. I mean, it is something that's been widely documented that he's pretty much a perfectionist, guys. And I can understand this as someone who went to film school. I love and try to perfect what I do as well, right? And that being said, though, there does come a point where it becomes an issue from a developmental perspective, from, creating this, this game. Obviously, this can happen in movies, it can happen in games, but we're seeing it really badly with Levine, whether it was BioShock, whether it was now with Ghost Story Games. I think the major difference, though, with BioShock was that, he's obviously the lead creative director on this thing, but they still had higher ups over there that were kind of pushing everything along, so to speak. He would put things into almost a development hell cycle because he's such a perfectionist, wanting it to be the perfect title ever, but it got forced to be pushed along at times. And that sometimes might actually be a good thing for Ken Levine, to have somebody above him to kind of keep him grounded somewhat and to kind of keep things moving along, because when he's had his own company, at least up to this point, it's been kind of a problem without question, and that may be just taking it lightly. But Ghost Story's core mission also contains some built-in tension. The studio grew alongside Levine's fascination with narrative Legos, his term for the kind of procedurally generated drama produced by Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor's Nemesis system or some recent indie games. At the same time, it's apparently been pursuing the feel of a heavily scripted and polished big budget 3D experience, something that's difficult to produce with a highly variable story. The BioShock franchise, meanwhile, has proceeded without Levine, although a new installment has also been in development for some time with no release in sight. An unrelated System Shock sequel has followed an even more tortured development roadmap. So, System Shock 2 helped define the immersive sim, a genre that gave players a feeling of free choice through versatile but often painstakingly handcrafted systems. It's a style that feels ripe for an experiment with infinitely generated conflict, especially paired with Levine's love of lofty, clashing philosophical movements. But for now, those clashes are apparently happening inside the studio as well. And I think, guys, look, at the end of the day, I think that, this can obviously become a real issue when you have that, that lead creative director, or you have the studio head is talking about, essentially things and, their vision for something. And then you go months and months, working on something, everything looks good. And then it gets scrapped for, one reason or another. And so I think that is a real problem because it can really lead to a lot of tension in the studio because people are working on things so hard. And then just to see it thrown away, that would definitely start to mess with you from a mentally. And, I got to say, guys, it's very unfortunate at this point in time because Ken Levine, I think, really is brilliant. I loved BioShock Infinite, guys. Unbelievable story. I mean, at the ending was incredible. Just the landscape that could be BioShock in the future with all the different lighthouses and all these different worlds and things of that nature really opened up Pandora's box. I would have loved, guys, to see Ken Levine stay in the BioShock universe for a little while longer, instead of now moving over to his own, game. Now, maybe this game is going to be a spiritual successor to BioShock, or it's going to be its own thing altogether, but it doesn't look either way that it's going to be coming anytime in the foreseeable future. But with that being said, guys, what do you think happened here with Ken Levine's upcoming new game? I mean, do you think this game's in a development, hell cycle, as they're saying in the article? Do you think that there is, like essentially being in a limbo state, a state of no return? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more content like this, guys, stay here with Zero TV.